Yo, what's your boy Ghost here, and today I'm bringing you guys another comparison video between the newly buffed AMAX and the NZ41. Now, this comparison right here is a little controversial because in the Season 4 Reloaded, the AMAX obviously got buffed, and the NZ41 actually received a nerf. However, a lot of people are still saying that the NZ41 is still the best AR in the game, even after its third or fourth nerf in the last month, which is insane to think about. You would think a weapon that's been nerfed almost 4 times, or I think 4 times now, to not be the best AR in the game, especially with the gun like the AMX, who was once very dominant in Warzone, receiving a buff, making it pretty damn good now, which is just, it's crazy to even think about this. But and here we are. Here we are still having this conversation on if the NZ is still the best gun in the game, which we'll get into just a second. But before we do get into that, I want to say if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 3,000. We're some ways from there, but obviously, man, every sub is helpful, and I was very appreciated. And also, man, if you guys can do me a favor, hit that like button down below, and maybe commenting something to help the little algorithm, if you guys know what I'm saying. But with that being said, let's get into the conversion. And then we have the recoil pattern for the AMAX, which as you guys can see, isn't that bad, but the recoil in general already puts it at disadvantage against an NZ, because the NZ, as we all know, is the gun that has pretty much zero recoil, genuinely has zero recoil, and it just kind of sucks because I like the AMAX a lot, because to me it kind of introduced a little bit of a skill gap, or at least a little bit more than what we're typically used to in a lot of these weapons with no recoil. This is like one of the guns that was actually meta that kind of requires skill, just because, like I said, the recoil control isn't already done for you. Like, you have to control it somewhat just to be able to use this effectively. And it's kind of crazy to say that because, again, most ARs or most typical metal weapons typically don't have recoil at all. It's barely anything that you got to do for it to pull it down. But the AMAX is one of those exceptions where you actually did have to pull it down. But the thing about it was the pre-nerf AMAX, the one from literally when it first came out on Modern Warfare, and when it first hit meta, what's it called? The thing about it is, even when it had recoil, it was still very rewarding because every shot hit like a truck. So you might have missed 38 shots, but those 7 shots that you hit are going to be just enough to kill them, because it rewards you for hitting the damn shots, because it's very powerful. So that's kind of what they did in this update. They didn't make it obviously pre-nerf AMAX, but they did make it more powerful than what it was to match the recoil that it has. So the buff that they actually gave the AMAX was the headshot damage multiplier was increased to 1.6 from 1.56, and the minimum damage was increased to 28 from 24. So again, it's kind of like the Kilo, where it got a minimum damage increase, and it got a little bit of a damage multiplier to the head, which I think is what made this gun really, really good back in the day. I think that was one of the biggest qualities that it had, was that headshot damage was literally incomparable to most guns at that time. But the NZ is a gun that headshot damage wise, it's pretty crazy. You know what I'm saying? Even after all these nerfs. And actually, speaking of the NZ, the changes that happened to the NZ were, here's, and I quote, a substantial recoil control decrease. Max damage range decreased to 33.5 meters, down from 35.6 meters. Minimum damage decreased to 30 from 34. The neck damage multiplier was decreased to 1.27 or 1.2, or from 1.3, my bad. And yet the gun still, I'm not gonna lie, man, the gun still feels like meta. I've used the gun, and I'm not gonna lie, the first day of using AMAX, if you guys saw my AMAX video a couple days ago of the update, I was I was in honeymoon phase. First game, I was like, oh my god, this gun is great. I haven't tried the NZ at that point until I finally tried the NZ, and I was like, yo, this gun is still, it's still good. And the thing about it is just I think the AMAX damage wise might be able to compete it. I haven't seen the stats yet. We're gonna see stats in just a second. But the problem is even if the damage is there, it's just the NZ still doesn't have any recoil. And after the 4th goddamn nerf, they still managed to have it have 0 recoil. It's ridiculous. But I guess with that being said, man, let's just get into the NZ1 and some stats. Here are the recoil pattern for the NZ41, and as you guys can see, man, the recoil nerf that it got was very substantial. I mean, this gun looks damn near uncontrollable. I can't believe that this is what they ended up going with. But yeah, man, the NZ41, like I said, after 3 or 4 nerfs in the last like month, it is still very, very dominant. Like, it's still a top 3 AR candidate in the game, or a lot of people still think it is. But see, the thing about it is, for me, it's like, I accept that, but like, I'm bored of using it, so that's why I was hoping that like the AMAX or the Kilo were guns to overtake it. But obviously at this moment in time, people aren't like convinced, and I had a lot of people tell me about that in my AMAX video, which is kind of, yeah, I didn't want it to be true, but I'm just gonna let these stats speak for themselves. So for the first that we're going to talk about is the fire rate, and this is actually an AMAX advantage. For the AMAX, we have a 630 RPM, whereas the NZ41 is a 500 RPM. However, even though the base fire rate is in favor of the AMAX, I will say that obviously with the NZ41, you can put on fire rate attachments, which would increase the fire rate. I still don't think, even if you had like all the fire rate attachments, it's going to surpass the AMAX's fire rate, but at the very least, it'll get very, very close. But you probably would lose some sort of like recoil control, but to be honest, I don't know if it would be that bad even after this nerf. Then moving over to the first set of damages, for 0 to 25 meters for the AMAX, you have 41 damage to the head, 37 to the chest, 31 to the chest, stomach, and extremities. So, pretty solid damages. But for the NZ41, 0 to 33.5 meters, you got 55 damage to the head, 46 to the neck, 40 to the chest, 37 to the stomach and extremities. So already here, the NZ41 has more damage than the AMAX. And to be honest, I didn't really realize that the AMAX was this like weak. I guess I felt like it should have, or was a lot more stronger. But I mean, that's true. It definitely was like way stronger when it was back in like the first year of Warzone. But I don't know, seeing the numbers, man, it kind of just makes me like sad, because I was really hoping that we could have gotten like an AMAX medal. I think that the AMAX is still definitely like a really good weapon, a weapon that could somewhat compete right now, because I mean, that thing does hit. So it's not like it's just a weak weapon that does not hit. To me, it still hits. But moving over to the longer ranges, for 25 meters and above for the AMAX, you got 44 damage to the head, 33 to the neck, 28 to the chest, stomach, and extremities. And this is where the minimum damage buff comes into play. That used to be 23, now it's 20, or 24, now it's 28. I believe it was 24. And then for 33.5 meters and above for the NZ41, you got 45 damage to the head, 38 to the neck, 33 to the chest, and then 30 to the stomach and extremities. Now at this longer range, the damage difference is way closer. The neck damage is still like one-sided, but right here, man, like at longer range, you can have a better chance with the AMAX over the NZ41 in terms of damage. But the thing about this is that the NZ41, like we keep talking about, still has no recoil. So even though the damages are closer at longer range, the recoil control is not. And so a lot of more people, like I said, like the typical average player, might not be able to control the recoil on the AMAX, or at the very least prefer the recoil control on the NZ41. And so, I feel like at this very moment, man, the NZ41, although I hate to say it, is still like the best AR. Maybe not the best AR, because there's a KG40 that's still, lurking right now. People, that one's a little bit indifferent with a lot of people, because I've been hearing a lot of things about the KG. Some people say it might be too slow. Some people might not like it. And that's completely fine. But, I have to use it for myself. I can't make an opinion on that just yet, because I don't know how the KG reacts. I don't even have the gun really leveled up. I'm going to try to do my best to get that leveled up as I play, because, I really do want to use that gun to see if that gun can overtake the NZ41. But in terms of this specific comparison right here, I hate to say it, because I really did want the AMAX to be great. The AMAX I still think is really great. I don't know if it's like meta, but I do think it's maybe like a solid, I want to say like number 3 option right now, but like it's a number 3 option where it's not interchangeable. So it's like NZ41, KG, you can pick or choose which one is 1 and 2 for you personally, but the AMAX is like a solid third, where you really can't put it over any of the 2 that are above it, but it's definitely like in the top 3 conversation. But it only like could be in the number 3 position, if that makes sense. So like I think it's a top 3 worthy weapon, but it's only literally like could be in the 3rd slot. Like I don't think it could really surpass the NZ41 at the moment, and I don't know about the KG, so I can't really comment on the KG. But you know, like I said, man, it kind of does suck because I really did want, like, at the very least, to have an AMAX meta for maybe a couple months, or like a couple weeks. But I think if it's gonna happen, it'll happen like in the next just updates, as hopefully the NZ might get nerfed once again, which I wouldn't doubt it because they keep messing this up. But yeah, like I said, man, in conclusion, the NZ41 I still think is better than the AMAX, which sucks to say, but you know, let me know what you guys think about it in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.